Continuing on with the first part of this story, the crawling demon girl visited me a second time. It had been a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4, since I had that first unsettling encounter with the girl. Nothing worth noting had happened in the months since I'd seen her. That was about to change, unfortunately. My father had gone away for the long weekend, leaving me and my 2 younger sisters to play house while he was gone. I was 18, Jess was 17 and Sam was 16. We weren't completely alone because my Nana was still home. We lived literally in her backyard. Even then, we were pleased to be left to our devices for a few days. We ate only junk food, made an absolute mess of the place, and did as we pleased. Life was a party. That party was quickly crashed one night, however, when an unwelcome guest turned up. It was after midnight when we all decided to go to bed. Sam slept in my room and Jess and I shared the couch bed in the lounge. Sam is notorious for kicking in her sleep, hence why I let her take my room and I shared with Jess. I was tired but having difficulty falling asleep. Jess seemed to be having the same problem. The room was dark, but it was an eerie kind of dark. Not the usual no lights on darkness, but a thick blackness as if the whole room was filled with shadow. I thought it a bit strange, but I carried on trying to get to sleep. We had been in bed for no more than 10 minutes, when I sensed someone was in the room. I could feel someone or something moving around the bed above my head. I sat up and looked about, and I saw the demon girl crawling around the bed. She was less distinct this time, but I'm not sure if that was due to the shadow that had blanketed the room. It was definitely the same girl I had seen months before though. She moved much faster than she did the previous time I saw her. She darted around the whole bed, but mostly paced back and forth above our heads. I was not in the mood for this at all. As my father was away, and we were alone in the unit, I felt it fell to me as the oldest to take care of this problem. I tried to ignore her and go to sleep. Jess was pressed against my back, so I shuffled over to give her more room. As soon as I moved, she moved closer. Before long I was nearly falling off the edge of the bed with my sister squished right up behind me. The girl was only inches from my face. She continued running around the bed, and lurking above our heads for quite some time. I didn't do much except keep track of where she was as I lay in bed. I was annoyed more than scared. I think my lack of response angered her, as I felt the air grow hot and smothering. Her eyes were now glowing red, and she kept growling and gnashing her twisted teeth at me. I told her in no uncertain terms to F off and leave us alone. She was definitely very threatening now. Her stance was hunched low to the ground, and she never took her eyes off me. She never stood, only crawled. I cast a circle of light around the bed and one around Sam. This appeared to knock the girl back as she didn't come closer than a meter to us when before she had been only inches from me. It also made her even angrier. I got the impression she really didn't like me and wanted to hurt me. She stalked about the room, but I was successfully keeping her at a distance. I fell asleep and didn't wake until the morning. There was no sign of her then. I asked Jess if she had noticed anything unusual in the night, and she said she couldn't sleep because it felt like she was being watched. She said she was quite scared, and didn't like being near the edge of the bed. She moved closer to me to feel safer, and tried to calm down by telling herself if there was anything there, I'd deal with it. I told her what had gone on through the night and she wasn't at all surprised. She said she had felt someone lurking near our heads. I asked Sam if anything odd had happened in the night, and she said no, she had been asleep until the morning. After that, I would see the girl often in the night. I wasn't disturbed at all by her now. I would wake up in the night to find her sitting in the corner of my room glaring at me. Sometimes she'd have her arms wrapped around her knees and her head down crying. I never felt sorry for her. I would tell her to go away or simply roll over and ignore her. I could feel that she wanted to get closer to me but couldn't for some reason. Something was stopping her from coming near me. She still looked as monstrous as she had when she'd first appeared, but I didn't fear her like I did then. I moved out of the unit, and back in with my mother after having lived there for 2 years. When I'd stay over at my father's I'd still see her but far less than I used to. Dad moved 6 months after I did, and I haven't been back to that place since. I don't know what became of the girl, for all I know she still crawls around in the night there. Thanks for listening to iSpooks. Subscribe to iSpook's channel, hit the like button if you enjoyed the story and turn on the notification bell for more spooky stories to come.